What's up, guys? So a lot has happened this last couple of weeks, or at least since last week since I put out a video. This past weekend was my birthday and my awesome wife got me a Mavic Pro.
Fly so much higher, fly so much higher.
It's pretty awesome. You know, I'm hoping to incorporate that into the videos that I make. Unfortunately, a lot of tracks don't allow drones. I can understand the liability reasons for it, but maybe for the ones that do, I could get some pretty cool aerial shots. So hopefully, we'll see about that. And in other news, my bike starts. You know, this is the first time starting my bike, and I know I'm cutting it really close because there's a race this weekend, and I'm actually recording the Wednesday before this weekend. I am really excited about that, but there's still quite a bit of work to do. As you can see, it's not quite done. But earlier today, I drove a couple hours to go grab my fairings from my buddy Brian 10.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Will do. Y'all see you there?
Absolutely.
That's the plan. That's the plan. I plan to see you there.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, man.
See ya.
You did an excellent job on these fairings. I'm not going to show you quite yet. If you want to see what my bike looks like beforehand, you're gonna have to follow me on social media. So Instagram, Snapchat, Tumblr, Twitter, one of those. And you can get a sneak peek before the next video comes out where I show my bike. And in other news, Brian's brother, Mark, who's the Michelin tire vendor for the Florida region, told me like earlier this week that I got Michelin sponsorship. Michelin doesn't really give sponsorship, so this is a pretty big deal. For me, I mean, I've tried other tires and they're pretty good too, but for me, Michelin just really suits my riding style. So speaking of sponsorships, these are my sponsors for the 2017 season. Like I said, I already have Michelin, I have Ballistic, I have Southern Track Days, I have Woodcraft, GoPro, City, and Force Field Armor. So it's going to be a pretty good year, I think. As much as the year as I can race. We'll see. If you didn't know already, my wife's pregnant and we're expecting in mid-April. So maybe around the April to July to August time frame, I'm gonna have to take a little bit of a break from racing because baby. Alright, so speaking of sponsorships are really cool to have. They really help out. So how do you go about and get sponsorships? Let me first start off by saying that pretty much anybody can get a sponsorship. Not only racers like me on any level, amateur, expert, pro, but track day riders as well, people who ride the street, people who stunt, anybody can get sponsorships. So with that out of the way, before I go ahead and like delve into the different ways you can apply for sponsorship, here's what you can expect from sponsors. You can expect cash, free stuff, discounts, which is probably the most common type of sponsorship that you're gonna find. And there's also a type of sponsorship called contingency, where you don't actually apply straight out, but these companies sponsor like the racing organization. And if you fill out a form and place your stickers, then you qualify for contingency, which can be paid out in coupons, products, whatever to like. So what do you need to do to start with applying for a sponsorship? Well, first, it's really good just to create a race resume. Now here's a quick look at my resume. And in my race resume, I have my basic info, which is my name, address, and contact info, because they need to be able to know who you are and how to contact you. I have a short bio about how I got into bikes and why I like riding and why I do ride, whether it's on the street, on the track, or racing. I have my goals for the year, and this is kind of important. They want to know that you have some kind of direction, that you have something to try to achieve, and you're not just doing it just for fun. Though sometimes that's okay. I have a list of my past results condensed. I don't have every single result because they don't need to see that. They just need to see some of the highlights. So I have some of my podiums where I kind of finished that year in points. I made sure to highlight things like my championship. I won the amateur heavyweight superbike championship for the CCS Florida region in 2013. I made sure to just show that nice and bold. But otherwise, most of my last year's results are detailed, and then the previous years are just condensed to that year. And also include some pictures. Riding pictures definitely, because they want to see what you look like, how your bike is presented. If I were a sponsor, I wouldn't want to sponsor a bike that kind of was falling apart, that didn't have any kind of, It also helps them to kind of see who you are so that they can recognize you if you ever meet them in person. And it just kind of adds a nice personal touch to the whole resume. And the last point about the resume is that you want to keep it succinct. This actually works for any resume, whether you're applying for an actual job or whatever. The race resume, you want to keep it nice and short, or at least cram as much information as you can into one page, because no one wants to be fumbling through a lot of papers. Alright, so now that you've created your race resume and you're ready to apply, where do you go apply? Where do you look for sponsorship? Now the first place that I'd recommend is if you know any friends in the industry. You know the saying where it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. It kind of rings true here, to a certain extent. Friends that work in the industry can more easily recommend you to their company for sponsorship. They could argue that you're, gonna be a good representation of their brand. If you have any friends, kind of slide in there and be like, hey, like I know you work for them and you make really cool parts, maybe I could get a little bit of sponsorship. It never hurts to ask, and don't expect anything. Never expect a friend to give you sponsorship. That's just wrong. The next place that I would look is on the company themselves, and you can contact them through their website, through email, through phone. Just put it out there, hey, I'm looking to race this year. I really like your product, and I think that, I could help represent, your brand to the people that I'm around during these events. See what they say. If they're accepting sponsorships, and then be like, hey, yeah, send us a resume and kind of like a short blurb of what you're looking for, and get the ball rolling like that. Now most companies actually have on their website, and I'm gonna bring up Woodcraft, one of my sponsors here. They have an actual link for rider support or sponsorship, and that'd be a good place to start. And sometimes they prefer that you do it that way, so do what they want. The third way is through sites that, I don't know what to call them, but sites like Hookit, where they are basically, a way to connect riders or athletes with sponsors. They have a free and premium model. I've only used the free, and it's been working out pretty good for me so far. And that's actually how I got the GoPro, Force Field, and City sponsorships. You put a profile on, you update your activity on those sites, and then the companies could see, and it's less personal. So if you're afraid of talking to someone directly and you don't like the sting of rejection, this might be a good way to kind of get started. On sites like Hookit, they will actually filter the companies that offer sponsorships based on your sport. So for road racing, which is what we do, when I click here, here's a list of all the companies that have a sponsorship program in place. And it's just a matter of applying and submitting any other documentation that they request. If you don't have any friends, or you're not really wanting to go straight to the company, Hookit's a good place to start, because you could start building the relationship from there. So after knowing where to look for sponsorships, how are you going to help them promote their brand? So here's the section that I'm going to call making yourself more marketable. The first thing about making yourself more marketable is to be a good person, to have a good personality. All right? No one really likes an asshole. And companies that are looking to sponsor don't want to deal with somebody that's difficult. So it just helps to be a nice person. And another thing is, if you're well known and well liked in the paddock, that also helps too, because they're like, oh, this person knows a lot of people, which means he could reach a lot of people. So personality, always keep that, always be a good person. You shouldn't need to be a good person for sponsorship. You should just be a good person. The second way to make yourself more marketable is your reputation. And this is where, social media is like the big proponent of this. Your social media sites are actually a good way to advertise, because at least for me, if I know a friend uses something and they really like it, I'm more inclined to be like, hey, you've already tried it and you really like it, why don't I give it a shot? Instead of some impersonal ad, that they might just kind of gloss over or skip over in the video. Being active on social media will really help. If you have a lot of followers, it's not necessary for a lot of companies, but some companies actually do have this requirement. Having a lot of followers on social media, and I don't even have that many, but having a good amount of followers will help, because when they look at you and they're like, oh, you have a lot of people that follow you on social media, your reach is big. It's all about reach. The sites that I'm active on: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat, and of course YouTube. You can follow me through my social media in the links in the description below under follow me. So yeah, having a good social media presence will help with your reputation. Now the third thing to help make yourself more marketable is activity. If you only do one track day a year or one race a year, you're not really out there using product, you're not out there promoting product to the fellow racers, fellow track day goers. Just do what you can, and giving your sponsor application, like putting on your sponsor application what you plan on trying to make. They could kind of judge on there whether or not it's a good fit for them. Alright, so say you've done everything. You create your race resume, you found sponsors to apply to, and you made yourself more marketable. Now say they've honored you with a sponsorship. Remember, this is a privilege, not a right. And in the grand scheme of things, this is really just a business relationship. They're basically paying for advertising through you. You are their advertiser, you are their marketer. Don't ever feel like they are obligated to do this for you. Always treat your sponsors right, and if the company's good, they're gonna treat you right. I've been really happy with my sponsors. They have all been awesome, easy to deal with. Help them help you, and everyone's gonna be happy. Read the contract. Say, you know, like, because they'll tell you what you can and cannot do with a sponsorship. Because if you do those things that you're not supposed to do, they have every right, and they probably should go ahead and cancel your sponsorship. Now, this goes without saying, but you have to promote their brand. Easiest way, run their decals on your bike. So it's really important, you know, like if you're sponsored, that you display that you're like, hey, I'm using their stuff. And then also, like, promoting brand goes, you know, saying like, hey, this person's looking for tire warmers, you know, and they need some recommendations. Like, hey, I'm looking for some tire warmers, like, which one should I get? Then you could be like, I'm using these tire warmers, and I really like them. And then they'd be more inclined to buy them. Yeah, promote their brand through visual, auditory, you know, any kind of way. And then of course, you know, if you're promoting the brand, you can't promote their competitors' brands. This is kind of like a tricky subject because, you know, there's company A and company B might have overlapping products. And in those cases, if you're sponsored by company A, only promote those products that your company makes for sure. But, you know, if say like I have company B products that company A doesn't have, it's okay, you know, like that's fine. You can say like, oh, the company B products are good for these things too. But if you're looking for products from like that company A also has, then you promote company A's. And that's pretty common sense. Come on. If you're active with the sponsor, it keeps you in the front of their minds. So after a race, after a track day, you know, buy the pictures. You know, the photographers work hard out there, and for not a lot. So buy their pictures and send the good ones to your sponsors. Be like, hey, you know, I did this, you know, this track day, or I did this race. Here are some pictures. And it also helps to include a race report if you want. You know, like say like, you know, this is my results. Here are some of the things that really stood out this weekend. This is how your products really helped me. And you can also give them feedback on their products as well. It's like, oh, hey, this product didn't work so well. It would be better if it did this. And that feedback goes a long way. They really appreciate that because then they have feedback to, in the future, improve that product and make their products even better and make that company even better. So, in a nutshell, on how to get sponsorships, the ways I outlined here in this video, they've really worked for me. I've gotten sponsorships through friends before. I've gotten sponsorships by contacting the companies directly. I've gotten sponsorships through sites like Hookit. And they've all been awesome. So if you have any other ways or ideas on how to get sponsorship, really appreciate if you put them in the comments below. Help everybody else out, you know, because sponsorships they help a lot, you know. Racing, track days, motorcycle, fast on a track, it's expensive. It's always expensive. And any little bit to help really makes a difference. That's all I'm gonna say about sponsorship. I've got a lot of work to do on my bike. I know I haven't been doing a lot of videos on the individual pieces of things I've been doing. It's just so much, and I've been kind of slacking a little bit on getting it done as fast as I should because I have a race coming up this weekend in a couple days, and that's going to be the CCS Florida round at Homestead Miami Speedway. Yes, so be on the lookout for that video next week, and that'll be it for this video. Please like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Follow me on social media. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see, what you think about these videos. You know, that feedback really helps. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one.
Fly so much higher, fly so much higher, sky.
Bye, drone.